Hi, this is Mike Smith and welcome to my Week 8 video tutorial for an introduction to interactive programming in Python. This week we're going to be making some updates to the hockey shooter game we started last week. We're going to add some new features to it similar to what we're doing in Rice Rocks. We'll first take a look at what we already have here. We have the player that can move around the ice, it can turn, bounce off the walls. We have the puck spawning every minute in a different location, but we can't actually get the puck yet, and we have no animation on the player, and we also cannot score anything. So let's take a look at adding some new features to the code here. First thing we're going to do is we're going to need a tiled image for our player animation rather than just a single animation that we're currently using. I made this tiled image here. It's just a very small one. It doesn't have a lot of frames. I'm not an artist, so I wasn't going to try to do it really professionally. I figured just a few frames with a few differences would be more than enough for demonstration. You can see in these frames that the players just rotated a little bit one way or the other, as well as the legs look different. So you'll basically see the player rock back and forth a little bit and the legs move. So first thing we have to do, we'll pull this out to our guide length here. And we'll change our player information here. Here's our new image, tiled image here. And if we look at the image info for a minute, we see that the last couple of options are lifespan and animated. So we'll set our animated to true, and since the player stays on the screen all the time, it doesn't really have a lifespan, but we need some way to use the number of frames that we have. So I figured that was a good way to use lifespan here. We'll just give it the 8 for the 8 number of frames, and that'll specify the lifespan of the animation rather than the image as its entirety. That saves us creating another global variable or passing it another variable. We do need one global variable up here for it, however, and that's our animation speed. We set it at 3. I originally started at 8, which was too slow. I tried it at 1, which was a bit too fast, so I chose 3, which seems fairly reasonable. Now down in our player class, we need to add a few more initializations here. One for the animated, one for lifespan, and one for keeping track of the age. Also down in our update, the only time we'll be animating is when the player's actually skating. So we'll enter some new code underneath that. Here we just increment the age. When the age modded with the player animation speed is 0, that just means every 3 times, because that's what we set player animation speed to, every 3 times it calls update, it will change which image in the tile it's displaying by just adding self image size to the image center. And then if the age is greater than or equal to the speed times the lifespan, which is the number of frames, so then it knows that it has already displayed the last image in the set and should start over at the beginning. So it sets self.age back to 0 and sets the image center back to the image size divided by 2. We also have to go up here and put in a list on the image size to make sure that it's actually a list and not a tuple, so we can actually change it. Otherwise we will get an error. When we originally set it up here, we were using the constants. We actually have all tuples. We'll run that. And as you can see, the player is now rocking back and forth and its legs are moving when it's skating around. With those few changes, we were able to add animation to the player. So now we'll add some code so that the player can get the puck. First, in the player class, we'll add another attribute here. Self.puck will initially set it to false. Down in the animation part here, we also need to add code to draw the player with the puck if it has a puck. So we're just going to put in if self.puck, then the image center will change to image size times 1.5, which basically just moves it down by the image size. Otherwise, the image center is the image size times 0.5, which is the center of the top line. We'll need a new method for the player, and we'll put that in at the bottom here. It's going to be a collide method. We'll do self and other, and we'll use the distance function above to see if the distance between the player and the puck is less than the combined radius. If so, then we'll set self.puck equal to true. Moving down to the draw handler here. Right now we have if puck, draw the puck. We'll add in if puck and not my player has puck, because we don't want to draw the puck if the player has the puck, because the puck is included in the player image. So we'll also need a method for the player of has puck. We'll put that in, and all it's going to do is return whether or not the player has a puck. And then back down in the draw handler here, we'll also put in our collide method for the player underneath this as well, because we don't need to call it if there is no puck or if the player already has the puck. We also have to go up here to the sprite class and add a getRadius method in here, because we used it up here in our collide method with the other .getRadius. We'll see if that works so far. Okay, we got the puck, it disappeared, and the player is showing that it has the puck now. So that's great. We can skate around with the puck. Now the one problem we have here is you'll notice that when the timer goes back down to 0, the player still has the puck. We're not spawning a new one. So we need to do some more modifications for that. So we'll put a new method up here in the player class called noPuck. And all it's going to do is set self.puck to false. Down in the puck spawner, we'll call the method noPuck of my player so that it'll switch the image back to the player without a puck and draw the puck. So we'll test that real quick. Go up and we'll grab the puck. We have the puck. We'll wait till the timer hits 0. And player doesn't have the puck anymore and it respawns somewhere else. That's great. Now that we have the puck, we need to be able to shoot the puck. First thing we're going to need to be able to shoot the puck is we're going to need another line in our key down handler. So we'll just do if the key is a space, then we'll call the shoot method of my player with the puck. Now we'll go back up to the player class and we'll add a puck method here. I'm also going to add in some lines here so this looks better. In our shoot method, we only want to be able to do something if we actually have a puck. So we do if self.puck, then we'll set self.puck to false because we're not going to have the puck anymore once we shoot it. We'll calculate our forward vector as we do above. using the angle to vector function. Then we'll set our puck's position using that forward vector, and we're also going to multiply it by the size of the player, because if we don't get the puck outside of the radius of the player, then the player will instantly grab the puck again. So instead of just using a radius, if we're moving, we'll pretty much grab the puck again right away. So I use the size of the image. That way it does jump out a little bit from the player. It may not be quite as smooth of an animation when you see it jump out like that if you're watching really carefully. But aside from doing that, we'd have to set up some sort of timer or something that the player wouldn't be able to grab the puck again right away. This just seemed to be an easier resolution for this at this time. And then we're going to set the velocity of the puck to be some multiple of the forward vector. This should look very familiar as well. And I'm going to use a global called puck speed, so I'll have to add in that global. I'm also going to add in here another global at the moment called friction 2, and you'll see why I'm using that here in a few minutes. Now that we're shooting the puck, we also have to update our sprite update method. This code again should look fairly familiar. We're just updating the position with the velocity. We're using the similar code here for the player bouncing off the sides with the puck, and then we're applying a different friction to the puck to make it slow down over time as well. Now where the puck has less weight than a player, it should have less friction than a player, and that's why I'm using a different friction amount for it. Instead of using a global further friction, we could have also changed our sprite class definition here to add an argument for friction, which is likely a better option than using the globals. But since we already are using globals inside the class for width and height and that type of thing, I just used a global for now. But I think it's probably a better idea that you do not use globals inside a class. That way you can take that class, pull it out, put it in a different program and have it work without having to specify that you need external globals to use it. So in this case you'd also want to send width and height, or something like send it frame size as well. That way you know that you have to send it that information in it for it to actually work. One thing we did up here in our shoot method is we're using puck.setPosition and puck.setVelocity. Now right now in our sprite class here we do not have those methods, so we're also going to need to add those methods. So we have set position, set velocity, and I'm making them a list just in case they're not already a list, because if we send it a tuple then we're going to have problems. So just in case we did send the tuple here somewheres, I'm just going to make a list to make sure it works. And now we have to make sure we also call the update method of the sprite so that the puck's position gets updated and we have movement of the puck. So we'll go back down here, we'll add in the puck update command, and we'll run that and see what it does. So we go and grab the puck, we hit the space bar to shoot the puck, it moves, bounces off the side, oh, we have the puck again, must have spawned underneath me. Oh, there we go, we can grab the puck, we shoot the puck again, After we shot the puck, we can go grab it again, and shoot the puck again. It'll actually go straight through the net. It looked like it actually went in the net before, but that's because the time ran out. Alright, so far we're doing good here. So we got the player animating, we were able to get the puck, we were able to shoot the puck. Now the next thing we want to do is be able to score some points.